All right, man, it's Fearless. Again, we continue to be fearless. The sports show. Don't get it mixed up with the Fearless Politics. That happens on our channel different days. I don't want to get the two mixed up because I don't want to be like Major League Baseball and get the two intertwined. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not fearless like driving on the inside lane on the in the gutter.
Yeah.
Hey, if you go up and down Highway 50 like you and I do,
yeah,
people do that.
Oh,
I've probably done it.
Yeah.
I did it on my way up here today.
I don't do it unless unless there's a reason for it to be done. Like if it's really, really important that I get somewhere.
Like if you're driving an ambulance?
Yeah, if I'm doing that. You have to do that, though, because people, I was doing it today. People don't really, I don't know if people don't understand the concept of ambulances anymore or if they just don't care.
You just nailed it. They don't care.
Maybe it's just a combination of the both.
But, the responsible person pulls over.
Yeah.
And then you get the mindless, the dolts who figure out, well, I'll just stay ahead of them.
What I do and what I did prior to being able to drive one of those is I used to I'd pull over. You go to the right, by the way. You don't pull over to the left. If you're pulling over to the left, you're making a mistake.
Yes.
Yeah. You pull over to the right. And what I would do is I'd pull over to the right, and then as soon as they get in front of me, I haul ass behind them, right?
Ambulance
now
chaser.
I've got my own, I've got my own personal escort to wherever the heck it is I want to go, and I'm blowing through lights and stuff too, man. And then if any of the cops pull me over, I'm like, I'm with him.
That's right.
Not anymore though.
It's my aunt.
Yeah, she's back there, man. It was a terrible fall, man. All right, welcome. I'm Boondock, a.k.a. Keith Brooks, and that is Joe Davison right there from the Sacramento Bee. Been doing it for so long. Dude, you've been doing it for so long, you've got, like, reporters'
I do, man.
notes right there.
And I was looking at this little notebook, and I saw some notes from, like, 7 years ago.
Did you really?
I've got more of these, but, you have to. But these are comfortable, and, no, you're right. I've spoken to journalism classes, high schools and colleges, and they don't bring notes.
What?
They do it off their phone.
Right.
I've harped at them. I said, "What are you guys memorizing me? You got to. Where's your notebook?" Or they'll do it in their laptop. And
I couldn't do it like that.
yeah. Oh, you do what I always do. You write little notes.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you just feel better that it's there, that you got it. And if we talk about the All-Star game, it's the 91st All-Star game.
Oh, there you go. See, you got
it's
your
in
news.
Denver.
That's
when it should have been in Atlanta.
It should have been in Atlanta. Let me give a brief background. So Major League Baseball decided in their infinite wisdom, because they're super smart, that they were going to pull out of Atlanta, where the All-Star game was supposed to be, and move it to Colorado. They did it because they're trying to pass some voter ID laws. I won't get too deep into it, but they're trying to pass some voter ID laws, some voter integrity laws in the state of Georgia, because there was some chaos in Georgia a little bit, and a few other states as well. Major League Baseball, in their wokeness, decided, oh, well, that's super racist, because someone told them it was racist. So they were like, well, we can't be part of that. So they decided to up and move. Let me explain how intelligent this is. Atlanta, Georgia, 53% African American, with a lot of small businesses that are African American owned. They picked up and left and took the potentially $100 million in revenue that would have been generated over the
tourism dollars.
The tourism dollars and everything
else.
Those
are lifesavers.
And they moved to Colorado, that has a 3.9% African-American community.
I think the effort to try to make a point or make a stand, because it was political, backfired. And so I'm driving up here, on the inside lane, trying to avoid the ambulances.
Of course.
And the game starts tonight in Atlanta, the 91st All-Star game in Denver. It should have been Atlanta. And there was a moment of silence and to recognize Hank Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
The all-time Major League Baseball great who hit famous 715 and
remember the guys
1974
jumping
against
out
your
of the
Dodgers. Yes.
Yeah, they were jumping out of the stands, and the one guy was following them around
Right
the
to home
bases.
plate and,
yeah. Where
so
did he play again? I can't remember.
That was in Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, and so there was a great moment. And so there's Hank Aaron's widow was there tonight.
Okay.
In Colorado to accept this recognition and applause when it should have been in Atlanta.
Should have been in Atlanta.
And that was an oversight, and I think a lot of the Atlanta fans missed out.
Mm-hmm.
You're not kidding about the All-Star game. You know, when a lot of times, Keith, if you get how does a team get an All-Star game or a Super Bowl or an NBA All-Star game? New facilities.
Uh-huh.
And so when Golden One Center in Sacramento was built, and in that process, there was already discussion: when can an All-Star game get here?
I remember that.
Get enough hotel space, you get in, and get there. What's the big deal? Well, it's a big deal because of what you just touched on: massive $100 million revenue for out of tourism, and same with the Major League Baseball All-Star game or the NBA All-Star game. Any of those. It's not the same. The Pro Bowl, usually those are locked somewhere else, but yeah, that's a big deal. And so that's kind of and we touched on that in our few shows, Keith, is politics always have a place, but people are getting burned out of politics stampeding into the sports realm. And what are the talking points in society? Race, religion, politics, education, sports. Those are your heavy duty things.
Those are the third rails, man.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't blend together. And
well, I mean, like there's always been like social conscious. Like you remember back when I was a Dodger game, or maybe it was an All-Star game. Remember in Rick Monday, somebody came out and was burning an American flag, and Rick Monday ran out, stole the flag, ran off with it, and like put the flames out. It was, I mean, there's always been a level.
That was 1976 or 77. I think it was in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
And he just ran. He was an outfielder, and he just scooped up the flag, and some lunkhead was out there with matches trying to light it on fire.
Trying to light it on fire.
Oh, and that gets replayed sometimes, Keith, on social media. And people defend it. Well, that's freedom of speech. No, that's idiocy. First of all, you're on a playing field, and your prime game to get just splattered by the center fielder. Yes, you want to do that in your parking lot. That's one thing. But I thought that was a great move by Rick Monday 40-something years ago.
It was.
It is now when it gets replayed. It seems to get replayed on the anniversary.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think there's no place for social discussion, especially if you are on that platform. But I think there is a time and a place. So you have these people who command lots of attention, especially now with social media. But you also have a responsibility, man. There are people that come to those games and they really just want kind of a release, and they want to be able to enjoy themselves. They want to be able to bring their kids. And it's just been really frustrating for me to have to watch it. I was at the gym and I saw I wasn't watching, but it was on the Home Run Derby. And as somebody who played high school and college baseball and loves baseball, I wanted to look up there and watch, but I was so pissed at them that they got their way. And now, the stadium in Colorado is filled with all these fans. And
that's all that lost revenue for Atlanta.
Yeah, lost revenue for Atlanta. So speaking of the All-Star game, though, so Shohei Ohtani, who's the pitcher for the Angels and who has been the pitcher for the last couple of years, but he plays both positions. Let me explain. So for those of you who don't know Shohei, he's a starting pitcher for the what are they? The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim now?
Southern California Angels.
Yeah. Cross street from the Disneyland Angels. And he's a pitcher, and a good one. He's not great, but he's good. He's got a strong arm, and
hits 99.
Yeah, he hits up there. He hits up there on the gun. But he's also a hitter, and not just a regular hitter. It's a power hitter. He's Babe Ruth style, right? Remember back in the day when he was playing for Boston and he was a pitcher and he was also a home run hitter? That's how Shohei is. And so he is starting the All-Star game and starts as the starting pitcher and is also the leadoff hitter as well.
How about that? With power. He's 23 years old. Yeah. He's got his whole homeland country is on his shoulders. And then Stephen A. Smith said something just ignorant and narrow-minded the other day for ESPN, where he said, how can this guy be the face of baseball when you can't understand a damn thing he's saying?
Hey, that's absurd.
So kudos to him for apologizing. But it kind of reminded me, Keith, when I was covering the NBA and the Kings exhaustively for the B years ago. Yao Ming carried the whole burden of China. A billion people, and he's this global figure, and he had a translator, an interpreter. Nobody seemed to mind, and I remember talking to him his second year when you get players who come in, you could talk to them before a game or at a practice, and I was, everybody's asking about everything else, so I was curious about, how's your language skills? I mean, you've had to learn so much. And he still had an interpreter, but he cracked a couple jokes, and he goes, "How's my English?" And I thought, this is awesome. That's how smart he was, and that's how much pressure. He goes, I feel an obligation to be loyal to my culture and my bilingual. And he said that, but I also want to learn this language so I could tease my teammates. And I thought, there he gets. And so Yao was in his upper 20s by then, and Shohei is 23.
Yeah.
So let him. He left everything behind. He didn't have anybody here, and his all that pressure. Can't go anywhere without a camera crew. But that's the price of stardom.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. It doesn't matter who the face of baseball is. Albert Pujols was the face of baseball for a while, and he's Dominican. And you had, you've had others as well.
Hey, how about Fernando Valenzuela? Some 40 years ago, turned Fernando. Baseball upside down. A poor kid from a poor part of Mexico, didn't know any English, and Fernando Mania. Led to World Series appearance, led to Cy Youngs, led to just this. He'd look up in the sky when he would pitch in his windup, and there's great documentaries on there where he, it really revved up baseball in his native part of Mexico.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, he was huge. I lived in LA at that time, and so
and everybody was rooting. The whole country was kind of rooting for him.
Oh yeah. Everyone loved Fernando. When you do this picture and you look up in the sky the way he does, I love that dude. And I've got a chance to meet him a few times too. It was he
didn't know a word of English.
No, nothing.
So when you got to talk to him, did it get better?
A little bit. This was only a few years ago. But I had to go cover a thing for CBS and in Dodger Stadium. They were playing the A's, and I was covering it and got a chance to talk to him. He was talking a little bit.
Yeah.
But
it's not
much.
easy.
No, dude, I can't speak a lick of anything.
Exactly.
So if anyone thinks it's easy, I mean, anybody who can speak a little bit of English and their native tongue, I have a lot of respect for.
There were great stories when Fernando really took the baseball by storm, and CBS or NBC or somebody, 60 Minutes, sent a crew down to his mother's house and lived in poverty. Somebody donated a TV and a big, rabbit ears up on top of the garage, and she was numb to the thought that he was electrifying all of baseball with his ability to pitch. And she goes, "That's just my son."
Yeah.
And she stayed living down there. She was very simple, and he'd send money down there before he made big money, and I think he got it out of there. But people just it was refreshing, Keith, because here you had a mother on simple means, and her son had a gift on throwing a ball.
Yeah, he did. He was great. And same with Shohei, and the thing that they're saying now about Shohei, they're the conversation now has shifted to, is this going to be opening up the doors for players in the U.S. because when I played high school and I played college ball, when I played high school ball, the very best pitcher was also the best hitter. The best athlete was always the pitcher too. And it was like that in Little League. It was like that in Babe Ruth. It was like that in high school. And then in college, it was kind of like that too, but they started to separate them. When you're a good pitcher here in America, they will kind of separate you out. You don't get to go play and hit anymore. That's why for years I've made fun of, it's like, why doesn't the National League just adapt, the DH? I'm sick and tired of watching these clowns go up and whiff at the ball for three pitches and then call it a day. And so the question has been, are they going to start opening it up now where people can start playing both ways, where you have a pitcher who's like the best athlete, he's a great pitcher, and he's a great hitter.
Right.
You think that's going to happen?
Well, I don't know. And some people embrace tradition. They don't want the DH at all. They don't want it on either side, National League or American League. But you're so right. The star player in high school is the same way here in Sacramento. We've got a bunch of first round picks over the years, or just draftees who made it into Major League Baseball.
It happened a few days ago in the draft. There was a kid from Sacramento that got drafted in the first round.
We had two kids. Yeah. This is why we carry notepads.
Oh, see, he's got the notes.
So
I knew I could count
the
on
baseball draft. It used to be 70 rounds.
Yeah.
The first baseball draft in 1965, 70 rounds, and now it's 20.
Okay.
And so this area had two guys in the second round. Robert Gasser of right here in El Dorado Hills, a pitcher. He played at Oak Ridge High School, Delta College in Stockton, and the University of Houston. Second round draft pick. Then Ryan Holgate, an outfielder, power hitting left-handed outfielder from Davis High School, University of Arizona. He gets picked in the second round as well, and that's almost $1 million signing bonus range. So those guys have made it, and then we have a few other guys. Some Sac State guys get drafted, but no high school kids got drafted from this area, and that's rare. We've got 6 Elk Grove High School baseball kids currently at the big league level now, including Nick Madrigal 3 years ago was a third player picked in the whole draft. A couple guys in the first round, and this year. I wrote this down. So there's 20 rounds of the baseball draft. 355 were pitchers, and only 40 of them were high school kids. So the farm system now really is not so much the high schools; it's the college. Yeah. Better competition, especially if you're a pitcher. Mm-hmm. You could evaluate a college pitcher a lot closer than you can a high school kid,
absolutely,
depending 100%. On competition and all that. And so that's. It's different. And so guys who could do both, after a while it runs out. You don't need to do both anymore.
Yeah, you don't need to do both. But more than that, and then we're going to move on to basketball here in a second. But to close it out, I think the reason why it won't happen, somebody was saying, well, we're closed-minded here in America. No, I don't necessarily buy that. Here's what happened. Then maybe there's part of that. I think the big thing is when you're talking about pitchers, and you just named it, you just had 355 pitchers taken. There are look at the contract that Max Scherzer got, and they're paying hundreds of millions of dollars for 4, 5, 6 years for pitchers. They're not going to take a chance. That's an investment. They're not going to take a chance letting this guy get hurt running bases or standing up there and getting one
reason enough to drop the DH.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I think more than anything else, like in Japan and places like that, it's not the same kind of money that we're talking about here in America. America's got stupid money they're throwing at these pitchers. There's no way. It's just like when they pay a guy like who the hell is it that went over to Philly, Bryce Harper. They're paying him whatever it was, $350 million or whatever.
Over 10 years.
Yeah, it's like
just obscene money.
They're not going to let him do. They're not going to say, "Hey, why don't you come in and pitch a couple of?" They're not going to do that, man. So it's really more of a protection of investment at that point, I think. So that's why I don't think they'll do it. Coming up here in just a couple of minutes, we're going to get our headlines, and we're going to take a break in a few minutes as well. But before we do, I wanted to get into just a little bit to the Olympic men's basketball team. So we're not playing for medals yet.
Exhibition rounds.
Exhibition rounds right now. But the U.S. men's Olympic team that has LeBron, has KD, has all these guys on it, lost to Nigeria the other day. And then follow that up with a nice round loss to Australia. I don't know if I would be willing to say that I think they're in trouble, because I think they'll turn it on when they have to turn it on. But I think the team was also kind of poorly constructed. What do you think about it?
I agree. And, we're Americans. We're going to root for Team USA. But in exhibitions, I thought it was actually a little refreshing that they got thumped by Nigeria. Okay,
yes.
A little misleading. They have quite a few NBA players on that roster.
Yeah, true.
LeBron James did not play. He's broken down. He's wounded, but old. But Kevin Durant was there, and he's supposed to be. I'm not
greatest player.
I'm not a fan, so it's easy to pile on him. But those are bad showings. I think they were 60-2.
Yeah.
In exhibition competition in the last 30 years or something, and they just lost 2 more games.
They lost 2 more games, and they are 4-5 in their last 5 international games. They're 1-4 in they've lost 4 of their last 5 in international play dating back to 2019.
And the rest of the world, Keith, has closed the gap.
They have closed the gap. And they're not just like the Nigerian team is not just a collection of cats from the
Nigeria.
swamp. Yeah, it's like half those guys live in America.
Right.
So it's not like it's they just, how did they do it? They just picked up a walnut and all of a sudden they could. No. They're legit, and they teach the game differently nationally as well. They're playing like hickory style Indiana basketball,
right. And they're setting screens and moving around the ball and sharing the ball, and I think we've seen Greg Popovich is a great coach, and he's the Team USA coach, and he's been on his team's case in these exhibition losses. Stop the isolation stuff. Share the ball.
Dude,
we watch the NBA Finals, and it's turning out to be a good finals as we're speaking right now. The Suns are up 2-1 over Milwaukee. But you'll see stretches where move the ball. They don't move it, or they'll do, and there's good stretches. So I always think, Keith, when I'm watching a basketball game or a football game, what does an old-time fan think? What's an old coach? What's a throwback coach thing? I think a lot of the throwback coaches are kind of repulsed by this over-exhaustive measure and trying to shoot threes all the time.
Yeah, all day, every day. It's iso ball. Player, will dribble it up the court, sit there, hold on to it for a couple of minutes, and then spot up for a three.
Yeah, it's the James Harden level of ball.
Yes, yeah, and then in the national on the national level, when they're teaching that game, you got the high screens, you got the pick and rolls, you got the backdoor passes. Yeah, they're passing the ball around. So I don't think they're in trouble just yet. I do think they'll turn it on when they need to turn on. But with the ball moving as well as it does on the national side, and those teams now, they used to be enamored by that team. Now they want to kick their butt. So I think it's going to be.
And we don't see the USA team is a little talent thin, even though they got some real stars. But there's no LeBron. There's no LeBron James. There's no Steph Curry. Steph Curry type would just light it up. There's no Trae Young. And so you've got quote unquote lesser players.
I think Draymond's the only one that could actually look to get other people involved.
Right, and he's not even a guard.
Yeah, and everyone else is just spotting up. So, all right, so we're going to get into our headlines here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to take a quick break right here, listen to our sponsors. Make sure you keep it locked in right here. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's Fearless Sports. Joe Davidson, Keith Brooks. Keep it locked in right here. Hey there, Boondock, and just wanted to let you know, we talked about the fights, we talked about the MMA, and I wanted to send a quick shout out and some real love out to Folsom Lake Bowl, FLB, as we call it out here in the hood. They let us come out there and broadcast the show live and do some video and all kinds of stuff. It was kind of last minute, but they let us come in there, do it. We had some beers, we had some food, and the place was packed, and it was one of the best experiences. And certainly, if you're trying to go out there and watch a sporting event, MMA, NFL's coming up in a month or so, baseball, whatever it is, FLB is your spot. Go check it out in Folsom. We'll also link it on our website at thepodcastloungeedh.com. Back. Here we are, back. Fearless Sports. Joe Davidson with his amazing notepad. Those notes from 7 years ago, you got one you could tell me? Yeah, take a look at that. Okay.
Probably a grocery list in there or something. I was at a Sac State game from 2014 or something, and I can't read it.
Did you draw this picture of this woman?
I don't know what that is. That's a health class flashback from somewhere.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah. You're a brave man. I'll let people look at my notes, man.
Oh, I've gone through old notes and you find old phone numbers and things like that. But
the other thing I don't do is I used to keep the picture of my gym membership in my phone. Right? I just take a snap, hand it to them. A couple years ago, I go into the gym and I show them so they could scan it, and the girl goes, "Oh, their phone turned off. Here, let me fix it." And she taps it and starts swiping. What the give me that phone back? What is wrong with you, you psychopath?
She might have seen a compromising selfie picture among the mist.
I assure you that at some point
it was in one of those. She kept swiping.
Keep swiping. Knock it off. I got situations in here. I got to protect the innocent. You know what I'm saying? Welcome back to the big show here. We're going to do headlines here in a couple of seconds with Bradley, and so we're going to have you pay attention to that, obviously. But I want to also make sure that people know that they can catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And our YouTube channel, the Podcast Lounge LLC, just type that into the YouTube, and I sound like I'm 75. If you just go to the YouTube, and you'll see we've got our episodes.
The World
on there,
Wide Web.
Yeah, yeah. Check out the interwebs, and you'll be able to see what's going on here. So,
HTTP
Yeah. HTTP /
Two of them.
: yeah. I feel like I should probably do some different music for Bradley to knock us into our headlines, because I feel like she deserves something a little bit better than what we have, because it's a little bit different, you know.
Well, we could give her a standing ovation, but we're comfortably seated.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and let it be cold.
Yes.
I like it that way better. Let me go ahead and get her going.
And she walks in here every time. I hope I do a good job. Does a great job.
She always
got
does
a good
great
voice.
job. I mean, we're talking about a person here that has spent time behind the camera and in front of the camera, and so she knows what she's doing. She just sells herself short sometimes, I think. But she's here now, and she's going to give us the headlines. Bradley, what's going on with those headlines?
Well, that was really sweet, but I also don't know what song you were playing, so I'm kind of nervous.
Oh, no, that's okay. I turned the song off so that it's only you. It's just
so
you.
Full of it.
Yeah.
All right. So, first headline that I want to talk about is going to be the fight heard around the world.
Oh, yeah.
We all saw it. Let's talk about that McGregor fight, okay?
Yes.
Conor McGregor is doing a lot of talking. A lot of running his mouth. And end of the first round, we all know what happened. The break was just, it was next level. It was pretty hard to watch.
Yeah.
Apparently, what was it, a tibia and fibula?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it a fracture, I think, on both? 3-hour surgery, crutches for at least 6 weeks. I mean, it was a gnarly way to go down, especially after all of that talk. Mm-hmm. So I guess my first question is, can he back up what he's saying? Is he too much talk?
Well, let me just preface it by saying this. He talks all the time anyway.
That's a big part of his game.
That's just what he does. If for those of you who didn't get a chance to see on Saturday night, he did fight Poirier. This is like, I think, their fourth, and I think Conor's like 1-3. Like I call
Conor's
him,
done a lot of talking.
He's been
of
doing
late,
talking
but
for
very
years.
little victory or results. And I'm curious. You're an MMA fan. MMA is big around here, certainly across the country, really. And personally, I think he's done. And are people going to continue to pay to watch him or reserve a night to go watch him? And the beauty of sports is you could root for the underdog. Well, I like it when he gets kicked around the octagon, and that's a tough way for him to go down with that snapped leg. Looked like Joe Theismann from way back, but there's nothing worse than a talker who can't back it up.
For a long time, he's been able to back it up, but ever since he kind of crossed over and he fought Mayweather, just hasn't been the same. So for the last few years, he hasn't been the same. And Poirier's a way better fighter. He wasn't a few years ago, but over the last few years, Poirier's gotten better, and McGregor has declined. His age, his crossover,
probably lack of interest too.
A little bit of lack of interest. I think he made like $75-80 million on that Mayweather fight. So it's not like he's got a lot of motivation anymore, other than talking a lot of trash.
Right.
If you didn't get a chance to see it, first round, I mean, like in the last 15 seconds, everything's going. McGregor got in on the ground. He threw a few decent punches. He went down on the ground. He had, I think, an armbar on Poirier for a second, and then Poirier just kind of came back and was like, got out of it, and then it just started showing the fact that he's just he's just a superior fighter. And then they got back up on their feet, and there's like 15 seconds left in the round, and McGregor, who oftentimes when he gets in a little bit of trouble, start kicking. He kicked, and people say that they heard a little bit of a crack, so he may have cracked it then. He then took a step back
and
then rolled over it and snapped his tib fib. That's what we call it in the other business.
Yes.
And he was standing like directly on top. It was disgusting. Like for a second,
it looked like a computer animated scene out of a movie.
Yeah.
And
What was the kid from Duke that where it happened a few years ago?
Well, Dak Prescott happened last year in the
and then
NFL
Dak,
season.
yeah.
But it's
Alex Smith.
I'm tired of Conor McGregor. He was entertaining when he could compete, when he could actually last a few rounds.
Yeah.
Go away. Shut up. Go away. And he was insulting Poyer's wife, and she's in my direct messages, and it's not funny.
Well, he said
it's just. I think his act is tired now.
He said, "Your wife sent me DMs." Right. So he does that. He does
a little.
Those are my people.
Sometimes I walk like him when I just down, just to get attention.
He's good at drumming up some support for the MMA, but I knew that he was going to lose that fight, and he did, and it was disgusting. So, I think he's been done for the last couple of years. I definitely think he's done now, unless he fights like a child. I don't see him beating anybody that's at top
and
shape.
Dana White is the head of the MMA, has already said that he would be up for another rematch. Of course, because it's a cash cow.
Yeah,
but as the
money.
consumer, I think the consumer is just tired of it.
I think
move
so.
on. Let's get new blood.
Exactly.
Go
Speaking
do
of
something
which, what's the next headline we got there?
Well, I mean, I guess my final question was, is he done? But I think that we have the answer to that one.
Yeah.
So I think we're good to go.
Oh, he is
We
definitely
hope he's done. Yes.
Well, I don't know.
I do. Well, then again,
he's my people.
come back and get clocked again. I mean, it's just.
I mean, he can sell tickets as long as he can
There's no
sell
doubt.
tickets. Dana White's going to keep him in the
right.
mix. So, but as far as like any real chance of him winning again, nah, those days are done, man. Those days are done. What do we got?
All right. Next, here's what I have. So the Bucks cut their deficit in half with a Game 3 victory against the Suns.
Yes.
Giannis is obviously the MVP of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like 41
Insane performance. I mean, 2-time MVP. Like, that's, I mean, 2 players in the finals in history have done what he's done so far.
Yeah.
He's, I mean, getting to crazy levels. I guess, I mean, he's joining Shaq.
I think 40 and 40 points, 15 rebounds, or 20 rebounds. Yeah. Greatness.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
My first question is, why did the Suns lose?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they're supposed to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of times now that we have crowds back, never underestimate what a crowd can do for a home team. I just think we all felt that Milwaukee was better than a team that's going to go down 3-0. Which is right on the cusp of being swept.
Yeah.
And what happened? Well, Giannis happened. Greatness. We're seeing a real. The NBA is an outside game now.
Yeah.
And when we grew up, Keith, you and me, we grew up. It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was the big guys. It was Patrick Ewing. You got to Hakeem Olajuwon. You got to go from the inside out. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's an outside game, really populated by the great shooting of Steph Curry and the Warriors. Well, Giannis is still an inside presence. Sometimes I see him on top of the key, and I feel like an old coach. Get inside, and he does a good job with pick and rolls. He wants to get fed inside. So his greatness, if you really think about it, that's the one guy on that team. I mean, you'd have to really think, unless you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, of who the other key cogs are. Yeah. Phoenix, there's 2 big ones. 3 of them really. DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. Yeah. I'm glad Milwaukee won. I'm pulling for Milwaukee, though I think either one of them was a feel-good story. But Milwaukee won because it had to win to save face. And the beauty of the NBA is now you got to win again, so you don't. And look how the NBA is. So if Phoenix wins, the Suns are up 3-1 with a chance to clinch it at home.
Yep.
If the Bucks win, it's 2-2. There's a huge difference between 3-1 going back to Phoenix and 2-2.
Well, when you go 2-2, and then it starts putting doubt in the team that went up 2-0, and then they've lost 2 in a row. You're right. The crowds are back. And usually, it's very difficult to win on another team's court when their crowd is going. It's just you feed off that energy. Devin Booker got booked. He got benched in the fourth quarter, and I think they're kind of saving him for the next game. They kind of knew
probably
that it was
fatigue,
over.
and he just was off. And you could see by his body, and he was still cheering on his teammates and all that. So it wasn't bad butting.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a bad thing. It just, I think they were like, you don't have it tonight. Go ahead, sit down. We'll save it for another day. I'm a big CP3 fan, so I want to see the Suns win. I lived in Phoenix for a while, and
he's easy to root for. He's in the league 16 years. He's loyal to Monty Williams, his coach. They have a history. And we talked a couple weeks ago, Keith, that we're seeing his greatness right here on this stage.
Well, and the Monty Williams story is a good story.
It's a phenomenal story, and he lost his wife and just was grieving and steps out of coaching, gets back into it. And Phoenix what's the big deal with Phoenix? Have not made the playoffs in 10 years, and now the Suns are in the finals. That's a remarkable turnaround with good drafting. DeAndre Ayton, as an example, Devin Booker, getting a great trade acquisition in CP3 and a great coach. So it can be done. How did Milwaukee get here? Great drafting. Giannis is a marvelous generational talent who could have played in any era. And he cares. And I think it's good for small market Milwaukee that they're competing, because you'd hate if they got swept, then he leaves. Remember Shaq was with Penny Hardaway in the mid-'90s, and they got swept by the Hakeem Olajuwon Rockets, and it was never the same.
Yeah, and that Rockets team was good.
And small market Orlando, and then it breaks apart.
Yeah. Bucks, obviously Giannis, he stepped up. That was the biggest reason. They out-rebound the Suns. Suns looked anemic on the boards. Again, Booker was off, sat in the fourth quarter, and he can't do it by himself. I do want to see if Bradley can say Antetokounmpo. Are you able to say that?
Or spell it.
Yeah.
So, my final question on
See,
this.
that's how you handle that kind of question.
Final question on this.
Yeah.
And this is a one-word answer.
All right.
Yes.
Who has the series? Call it.
I'll say the Suns.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Think the Suns are gonna win.
I'd like to see the Bucks. I did rip the Bucks shirt a couple weeks ago.
Did, yeah.
And I'll wear it. I'll wear it next time, right around my forehead.
It won't be terrible either way, because it's a feel good story. It's small market-ish, at least for Milwaukee, definitely. Right. But
and it's new blood. We're gonna have a refreshing new champion. Phoenix has been around since 19. I think both teams started in 66, 67.
Yeah.
Milwaukee has 2 championships, 71, 74. No, I'm sorry, 71. Last we reached the finals, 74. The Suns have never won. Been there 3 times now.
Jeez, I was living in Phoenix and watching the Suns when they had Alvin Adams and Kyle Macy and who was it? Who else did they have? Larry Nance.
Oh yeah,
some of those guys. Man, it was a good. Those were some good.
Walter
teams.
Davis, probably a little bit of Paul Westphal. Well, he was a little later as a coach.
Yeah, he was.
But Alvin Adams was, I think, the rookie of the year.
Oh yeah. Larry Nance was like the slam dunk contest. Yeah, it was awesome, man. And then they had. And then a little bit later on with like Tom Chambers, and then you had Dan Marley and Charles Barkley, the team that went to the finals. Kevin Johnson,
1993, right?
Slam dunking over Hakeem Olajuwon in the semifinals. Oh my God, that was so dope! Little old Kevin Johnson slamming over Hakeem Olajuwon was awesome. Was it Hakeem Olajuwon? Yeah, it was. Yeah. All right, what else do we got there? Headlines.
All right, so now we're gonna move into the world of golf.
Let's do that.
You ready?
I'm ready. Do you golf, man?
I golf a little bit. I'm not very good at it.
All right, well, listen to this story, because I'm feeling this one.
So, Koepka and DeChambeau.
DeChambeau, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
DeChambeau. All of these things. I call him DCB.
Yeah.
I think that works.
You can call him that.
Let's call him that.
Yeah.
Apparently, these two were feuding in 2019 because there was slow play on the PGA Tour, right?
Yep.
And they called a truce. They were cool with each other. And then all of a sudden, something broke out on Twitch recently. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that could break a golf truce. Somebody took a shot at somebody. There's a lot of drama happening. Like crazy Twitch antics. I didn't know that was a thing. Mm-hmm. So apparently they lost an agreement after taking a shot on Twitch at Koepka's appearance on ESPN's Body Issue, saying that now it's fair game. They're all after each other. And I just kind of want to know some thoughts on this feud. Mm-hmm. It's funky.
It's a good word,
it broke
feud.
out on Twitch, of all things. Like, not on the golf course. It broke out on Twitch.
Yeah, well, so here's a little bit of history. there's been a couple of times, they call each other out. There was the body issue in Sports Illustrated where they were kind of poking fun at each other. Then there's been a couple of times where Koepka was complaining about some slow play back in 2019, 2020, and he mentioned DeChambeau. So he got pissed, obviously, and so then they were talking about it again in the post game or the post tournament, and Koepka didn't mention his name, but he kept bringing up the slow play. So DeChambeau's not feeling that. He's kind of an alpha. So is Brooks Koepka. Those guys are two young, good-looking guys who are bringing people onto the golf course, similar to how Tiger Woods did back in the day. Brooks Koepka's like super handsome. He's like a country singer looking guy out there playing, and only wins majors for apparently, and so then they're going back and forth at each other again. And now it's like becoming this like thing. Like they really don't like each other. It's like Adam Sandler and Shooter McKevin. Like they're going at it at all times.
I say put them in the octagon. Let's get all the Dana White. Let them go after each other. Little trash talk in this sport. And it's it kind of livens it up. It's kind of like when you see a couple NASCAR guys get after each other.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
And
getting out of the car, getting after.
Oh, they do, and they go over and start swinging, throwing helmets at each other.
Yeah,
and
I love it. I love it.
No, that's good stuff.
I like it. I like it because golf. So I played golf. I play golf a lot, and I remember playing a few years back when I was over at CBS Sports, and I would go out and I'd play with my team, with my crew from the morning show. And I don't want to call them out, but they know I'm gonna a little bit because
please do.
And we would go out. It would be me, my co-host, who will remain nameless, and then I had my producer. Our producer Mike D was his name, and then we had Nate, who was like the engineer producer guy, and we would go out for a foursome. We'd play, and these imbeciles took it so seriously all the time that it just made it unhappy for me. Like I never wanted to go out there. I was so turned off by their elitism, and they sucked. First of all, they were poor, and on top of that, they were not that good. Like they weren't very good, and yet they took it so seriously. And that's how it is when you go. I don't know if I'm sure you've been to plenty of golf tournaments, but even when you go to like the AT&T or the one in Tahoe that just finished up, where Kelly Slater, by the way, was there, and my friend sent me a picture. Hey, look at me and Kelly Slater, my favorite, the greatest surfer of all time. You jerk! You're sending me pictures. I showed my daughter. She's like, "Let's not go surfing. Let's go to Tahoe. I got to meet Kelly Slater." But it's like even there, they take it so damn seriously. It's like, dude, relax, bro. DeChambeau does not take it very seriously. He was just on the thing with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers where they played against him and Phil Mickelson again, and Rodgers and DeChambeau won. But it was it's just Koepka takes it a little seriously, just like the rest of the guys on tour, and I hate that. I just hate it, man.
But it's one thing to take it seriously when you're on the tour because it's your profession.
It is your profession.
Now, if you're doing it after a morning radio show, it should be totally loosey-goosey. I'll go sometimes with local high school coaches, and they're very competitive, but when they're competing against each other, a foursome, they're just having a good time, and they understand it, and their focus on being competitive is on a football Friday night, not a Tuesday afternoon golf thing. I mean, they're totally they talk a little smack and all that, but it's a refreshing change of pace. But I know what you're talking about. I have friends when you go out and play pool or billiards, and
really?
they take it so serious.
Oh no!
And I'm thinking, this is have
pool.
Another beer and try to get the blue one in the pocket.
Or darts. Or like sometimes we'll go out here. We're in town center here doing our show inside the studio here in down the street. They got Brickyard and they have cornhole. And nobody takes it seriously out there. But I've been to some cornhole tournaments before where it's like not really a tournament, but it turns into one, and people are like real. Dude, they have it on ESPN.
Any game that has the names cornhole should not be taken seriously.
I know, no, it really should. I can't even say it without laughing.
And that leads me. I wrote a little note down. Is we were talking about how popular MMA is off air, and I think if you ever notice if there's a brawl or a fight at a Major League Baseball game. game or at a football game, an NBA game, in the stands, everybody thinks they're an MMA guy all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you see that? I mean, they're doing the haymakers and, let's throw them onto the ground. It's just clowns. It's just, you look like fools.
Yeah, you do look like fools.
And they want to do the pile on.
And you got to be careful, too. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of those guys are fighting 135, 150. I mean, when you start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then that game, that MMA game gets a little more serious, man. Then you start falling a little bit harder.
And the MMA guys in the octagon aren't soused up by 7 gallons of beer like these clowns are.
That's true.
In the bleachers. It's fun to watch. It's great entertainment, which tells you about our barbaric, tendencies. Why are we watching? I want to see the guy get clocked.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like I've taken my daughter to MMA fights before and stuff like that, and I get caught up. It happens in the stands too. Like at an MMA fight, so they start getting after.
Then they really think they're show offs.
Yeah, and like, come on, relax, you put your affliction shirt away for a couple of minutes, you clown. No, like the thing about it is I want to like Brooks Koepka because he has my name and he's a handsome cat, and I'm kind of rooting for him. But at the same time, man, it's like, dude, lighten up, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And golf is fun where we look at that and say, I could do a little bit of that.
You could do a little bit.
We can't do what Giannis does. We can't do what LeBron does. But some of these golfers,
350-foot home run.
Exactly. Can't throw a baseball from the mound to home plate at 99 miles an hour. But in golf, you think, I can kind of, they look more like us.
You ever go to the boardwalk or something like that, and you see the baseball throw thing, and you know we played, we both played some high school ball and stuff like that, and you get up there and you're like, I get at least up in the upper 80s, right? And you just wind up and it's 58, and I was 60 miles an hour, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. I've been my arm's been hurting since yesterday.
I'm a little stiff.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, dude. I'm not serious. I wind up and haul and just and let it go, and it's 59.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what? Your thing's off, man.
It's the same guy who runs the basketball thing. You're trying to hit a free throw, and the rim is too small.
Big, there's glass on top of it. Yeah, it's jacked up.
You can't do it.
That happens.
It's just the same thing. You get a few beers in you, and you're trying to show off, and where's the old hammer thing, and you got to hit it so it could hit the buzzer. You never come close.
Nah, well, no, I did a couple of times, man. And
you're a better man than me.
Hit that thing.
I tried it once, and I blamed my back.
Well, but even if you go to the River Cats game, or if you go see the A's, you can go walking through the stands and stuff, and you'll see that pitching game out there.
Right.
Even there, man, where there's no prizes to be won or just doing it, it's wind up 48. It's like, dude, what's happening, man? You don't want anyone to see or whatever. Like, oh man, I slipped on a thing over
here. I
guess
stick with my day job now.
Is this regulation? Quickly too, before we get out of here, I just want to let everybody know, if you didn't notice, I'm rocking the Sac Republic FC. Their season starts here, and it's gonna be really nice when they're officially MLS, and we need to go out to that beautiful the rail yards that they're
delays,
building.
but it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, and they've been nice enough to not only give me the jersey, but they gave us a ball, and they gave me the hat, and we're going to start doing, this isn't 100% official yet, but we've been told by a very reliable source, that they're going to allow us to come out there and do shows from the pitch. That's the field, for those of you who are not familiar with soccer, or football.
And the FC Republic, in my dealings with them at the Sacramento, will be terrific. Great good ownership, great minority ownership, public relations. They're very media friendly. They understand it. They get it. Same with the River Cats. They like those kind of things out there. And soccer is, we've all had kids. We've all had kids play soccer. We know people have had kids. It's the one sport that anybody could. If you could run around, you could relate to it at some level.
You can relate to it on some level,
right?
But
the pursuit of.
But when you go and you watch an MLS game, or I've been to some, I've been to some Premier League games, and I've been to MLS games. And you can't do that kind of soccer.
No, and their endurance and their skill.
Yeah.
I'm curious how many miles some of those guys log in a match.
Remember the movie Bend It Like Beckham?
Right.
It was because he could bend that, but he'd kick the ball. Looks like it's going into the stands, and he would flip around and go in.
Gifted.
Him and obviously I used to love. I've always loved. Beckham, and there's a few other guys out there that I enjoy watching, but when you watch those guys, even the lowest level guy out there who's maybe not the star player, it's just so damn good.
The skill, even the high school soccer around here is really good. And Sacramento State's had good teams, and certainly in the Pac-12. And the skill level from field level, the skill when you watch them from ground level, these guys are remarkable.
Oh, yeah.
And how they could pass. And
you ever watch Lionel Messi do his thing, dude? For the love of God, man.
They're just amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And when we were kids, we're about the same age, it was Pele, who was the global soccer guy.
Yeah.
And people were excited. And there's been so many leagues that have tried, even in Sacramento over the decades, that just don't latch on.
I know.
And then even when FC Republic started, there was a lot of curiosity. We had meetings at the B, Keith. How do we cover this?
Yeah.
Are there going to be fans? Boom.
Yeah. No,
were there
huge.
fans?
Yeah.
And that's what caught the attention of Major League Soccer.
Yep.
And said, we want fans in a big market. The big, the momentum stalled. We got the COVID issue.
Yeah.
The big whale pulled out, Burkle. But it's already on the radar. They're on the map.
Yeah.
So this is a prime area to jump into
Yeah.
to get MLS. And I think it would be great for this region.
Hey, remember the
It'll
old
happen.
George Michael sports machine? He'd be pushing the buttons. That's how I feel like right now. Is pushing the little buttons.
And he was doing that when there was no Sports Center, no internet. And it was the deal.
I know. It was awesome. Oh, man, I remember that dude so well. It was so awesome. All right, well, that's going to be just about it for us. Make sure you check us out on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube. Type in the Podcast Lounge LLC. You'll be able to see us. Also, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You could just go to Boondock Underground. Type that in there. You'll see it. We are in there with all the rest of our shows. It'll be labeled the Fearless Sports Show. So make sure you go check it out. For my man, Joe Davidson, I am Boondock, a.k.a. Keith Brooks. Thank you for hanging out. We will see you next week. Keep it locked in right here. Watch it. Watch it many times. Share it. Subscribe. Hit the little bell thing so you get updated on what's going on. See you guys.